Metropolitan District regular board meeting for Thursday, May 26th, 2022. Will now be in session. I have 5:35. Roll call.
John Martin, present.
Neil Erickson, present.
Sherry Ringham, present.
And Troy Stinson, present.
Popovich, present.
And Stacy Popovich, present by phone. Do you have a quorum? All right. President's welcome and remarks.
Don't we normally do pledge allegiance before that?
We do it in the president's welcome and remarks,
Okay.
but it looks like we don't have anybody else here. Welcome. Why you guys came over. But no, it's been a couple of months. I wasn't here last meeting, so a little bit different. We're going to swear in the 3 board members again in this meeting. We're going to talk about some other items that we've been working on, and other than that, I'll wait and save your thunder for when we get to the park and rec on what's going on outside, when the gyms are opening back up, and all the fun stuff.
Maybe never, I don't know.
Right? All right, other than that, I don't think we have anybody here for public comment. I had some gentlemen that messaged me saying they were gonna show up, but then they messaged back last night and said that they wanted a personal audience, I guess, so we'll see if they'll come to the next meeting. It's your gentleman about Balkan Park, so. Nonetheless, somebody want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Riker?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Item 4, swearing in of the board members. Are you reading it, Ted, or?
No, I just had a back and forth with Dan. I'm in Delta, Colorado, and I don't have any of that with me. I'm hoping that Carter has a copy with him.
It's right there.
We can just read it. All
That
right.
would be fine.
Okay.
If you would read it, then I will ask the 3 people to attest whether they agree.
Okay. So for the public watching at home and those in attendance, these are documents that go to the county and ultimately to DOLA and the state, appointing us or as your community's elected officials to run the district. So it says, for instance, mine is the oath for me. It says that I, Troy Stinson, having been duly appointed and qualified to take the oath of office, hereby state that I, Troy Stinson, will faithfully support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Colorado, and the laws made pursuant thereto, and will faithfully perform the duties of Director of the Woodman Hills Metropolitan District upon which I am about to enter. That's what it says, and I do.
And you would ask each of the 3 people to attest whether they agree to that.
I
Sherry?
agree.
And Stacy, by phone.
I agree.
Okay.
All right. And there's a note section there that I believe Carter was going to take.
We have a notary right here in the room.
Ah, okay. Well, I think you now have separate copies for the respective people.
Hey, Becca, I'll come in and see you when I get back.
Sounds good.
Okay, we're good there?
There you go.
Yep, I think so. get them signed and attested, notarized, right?
And for those watching, these terms are, on this election, or these renewal terms are for 3 years. So the three of us will hold office till 2025. And then next year, May of next year, we have an election for the other 2 seats. That will, do we go back to our normal 4-year schedule then, or do we stay on 3 now?
Stays on 3-year rotations.
So those will run till 26.
Actually, it'll be a 4-year term. They need to move our special district election to odd years. Do not collide with presidential years, which are even. So once we're all on each odd year election, then we'll go back to 4-year term.
So yeah, that'd be
So they'll
27.
be 4.
Theirs will be 4, ours is 3.
Right, okay.
Then it'll flip. Okay. That's it, no pomp and circumstance and fancy stuff.
No, it wasn't.
What?
We just came to watch, that's all.
Good family support, see?
Mhm.
That's
All
important.
right, that's all, we're just coming to watch.
All right, see you guys in a little
Bye.
bit. Bye.
Bye, Stinson family.
See you, Blondie. All right. Item 5, approval or disapproval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as written. Second.
Okay, I got a motion by Neil and a second by John. Any other discussion on the agenda? All right. All in favor of approval of the agenda as written?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Any opposed? I should have said that first, I guess. All right, item 6 will be approval or disapproval of the board minutes.
The only correction I have for the board minutes is my last name.
Oh,
Yeah, they did
What's
spell it wrong, didn't they?
How's it spelled? Pop. It's P-A-P. It's a
they got you spelled like the basketball coach.
That's right.
Is it P?
Every time.
P-O-P.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Okay, we make that correction.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll second.
We'll go second by Stacy, all in favor, or Sherry, sorry, all in, or. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Um,
And aye. Motion carries. Anybody opposed? Attorney's report, item 7.
We are in the midst of drafting a change in the service plan. El Paso County has instituted a procedure whereby you have to conform to the master plan, and it's added a considerable complexity to the draft. We submitted an initial draft and learned about the master plan. I have sought other attorneys who are experienced in El Paso County with this process, and the scorecard is 0 right now. We can't find anybody, but we're doing okay. We're in the midst of drafting it. So it's in process. It's not done where we are. Secondly, we are in the midst of an arbitration with Paintbrush. We had a hearing yesterday. The matter has been set for a trial in November. There are a series of dates for a variety of things to happen. They're all normal process under the normal court procedures, Colorado's civil procedure. So those two things are both in process. That's where we are. And I think that, if anybody's got any questions, that's the only 2 items I would comment on.
Okay. Any questions?
What's the
No
estimated-
questions.
I have a question. What's the estimated timeline on working on that agreement for the state, for El Paso County?
The master
The-
plan?
Service plan?
Yeah, for the service plan? For writing, what you need to write, how much time do you think?
We're close to being done with our portion, but there's 3 contributors. One is Carter, one is John McGill, and one is us. Our portion, Brian's been working on the draft. He was close to being done. Then we stopped for a minute in relation to a question I had of Carter, and he answered the question, and I put Brian back to it. So he may have it done tomorrow. It's that close.
Okay, thank you.
And for using it as a model, a prior application that the lady Carrie from the county thought was well done. So we are, I don't want to say plagiarizing, but we are using that as ours. And so that's where we are. We need input from John, input from Carter, and input from us.
So we'll call that, you're working on a template.
Yeah, so I had a call with Ryan over at JS Hydro, gave him all the exact exhibits from the master plan from El Paso County. So he's aware of what needs to be done. The fortunate thing is that all that stuff is readily available. The unfortunate thing is that there's a lot going on in the district from an engineering perspective. So I don't have an ETA from Ryan, but I plan on following up with him tomorrow to get a firm ETA on his documents. And then the other portion that I'm responsible for is the financial plan. It's pretty much already done. I just need to reformat it into how the master plan has it set up, and then that can be submitted. So I would say if I was to estimate, no more than two to 3 weeks, which is still falls in line with our timeline to getting everything to the county commissioners by probably October at the latest.
Okay.
I would hope we're way faster than that. So we shall see, but I'm letting everybody know that the big major new news, Neil, to your question is this compliance with the master plan. We could submit it in and of itself. We did once already, but it's this new requirement to meet the master plan is what's throwing everything sideways. And I should comment that the version that the staff the county staff, they submitted in February, it was bounced back and they resubmitted in October or November. So even one they really liked got kicked over for months. So it's not a fast process.
Understood, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Okay. Moving on to item 8, approval or disapproval of financials.
So I will review the financials, but I already made Neil and Stacy aware that found some issues related to how a vehicle that was purchased 3 years ago was actually never classified correctly in the financials, and in February of this year it was a leased vehicle. We made our final payment, and so in order to reclassify it correctly, it's throwing off the April financials. On top of that, depreciation schedule was not maintained by my predecessor. So I will have that completely updated on the May budget, or the May financials. So tonight is really just an FYI. I wouldn't recommend an approval until I can get those things done. And then you guys will have April and May in the June meeting. So with that, for the April month close, net income, total income was budgeted $921,000. Came in at $889,000, so about 96% to budget. However, when you look at year to date, So January through April, we are at 100% to budget. So that's definitely good news considering we are now really getting into the heavier revenue income months. When you flip over to expenses, expenses were budgeted at $691,000. We did come in over budget at $711,000. That's 102% to budget. However, year to date, we are at 75% to budget. So total net income was budgeted at $230,000 for the month of April. Came in at $178,000. But year to date, we are currently sitting at 176% of budget. So we have a large amount of surplus from a net income perspective. Again, we're starting to get into the busier months from a payroll perspective with landscape maintenance and things like that. So we'll start to see that gap close, but from what I expect to see for the remainder of the year, I expect us to maintain that surplus above and beyond what we were budgeted surplus for capital expenditures for next year. Do you want me to go into each enterprise, or do you just
No,
want
because I'm gonna go ahead and entertain a motion to table the financials to the June meeting, when we get them, after we have them corrected, and then we'll take a look at both months
Okay.
at the same time, so, does somebody wanna,
I'll make a motion to table financials until next meeting.
1 second.
I have a motion by Sherry and a second by Neil. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of tabling the financials to the next to the June meeting?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Troy?
Yes, sir.
Dan? I have 4 items when we get to the executive session.
Okay. All right, so those have been tabled. Now let's move on to item 9, which is Parks and Rec report.
John, you got your
Summary
timer?
Overview.
John, you got
It's
your
pretty
timer?
short.
Short and
It's
sweet.
pretty short this time.
Let me just elaborate on each of these.
All right.
Maintenance, had a little bit of turnover, we did lose a guy, we just gained another guy, and we're hoping to keep him long-term, he seems great so far. But with all that, guys have been working hard, landscaping, A&R has finalized their irrigation part, we now, have an irrigation issue over at RCD, and Hammers has been working on that for the last 3 days. But that's all under the warranty, I think they just put it in wrong, to be honest with you, but they're having some issues there and they're working on it. We've done everything from renovating these sheds out here, spreading some mulch in the playgrounds, new lights were installed at Balkan Park, I know John and I have talked about, there was one that was hanging, we had it fixed a couple times, it just wasn't staying. The weight room downstairs, this was a good time to have everything lubricated and greased and ready to go for when we open back up. Guys have just been busy doing a lot of different things as well as the day-to-day stuff that pops up. Activities, we're offering a million different things, as you guys know. Revenue's been pretty good. April, you see the numbers there, they're over 16,000, usage almost 4,000 out of, again, this is what's coming through RCE. May, that revenue, when I sent it out, has changed. We're over $20,000 revenue for May, 20,175 to be exact, and the usage about 3,500 right now. Year to date, again, that's changed. A little bit of typo there. Should probably read this before I send it out, we're up over $87,000 that's come through the door for us at RCE. So I think the guys are doing a great job. I do want to really commend Stephanie and Craig. I think they go above and beyond. They do an awesome, awesome job. So new build, I think that final piece was finally put in, those ramps. Did I send you those pictures? I I will, okay, sorry about that. But those ramps are put in and look good, or transitions, whatever you want to call them. Outdoor pavilion, we finally got the finalized design. And now we're taking that and obviously getting some bids on getting that project done. In my mind, it's not a huge project, it's, you're slapping up a pavilion, but obviously there's a little bit more to it with getting approvals and that type of thing. Pool lining, as you can tell, looks fantastic. I do think I shot you those pictures.
They're in the packets,
Okay.
and they're in color.
Pool lining came out great, it's filled,
Oh, they're not, they're in black and white.
for black and white.
Maybe your copy is.
Oh, I see how it is.
So only your copy is in color.
We'll pass that around and
So
learn.
see, he tries to push buttons, but he can't even get it right. He still can't get it right.
Hey, I'm trying to save the district money, okay?
Um,
Sorry, Jed.
As you can tell by looking outside, cement work has started. They're supposed to be pouring the deck tomorrow. The goal is to open up Tuesday. We might be backed up a day or so just to make sure our chemicals are balanced. With everything covered, we haven't been able to get to them right now. But the pumps are up and running. Aquatech was here yesterday and today. Everything's up and running, the heater and all of that. So we're good there.
And they're the right size pumps in here.
That's what they're telling us this time.
Alright.
So
Is that full filled right now?
yeah. So we are ready to go. I know obviously the community's probably itching to get outside and get in the pool, but we're close. Drainage, Oakmont and Safeway are scheduled for late June. As far as starting, and I think we talked about that last board meeting, cutting those trees down and redoing that trenchway next to Oakmont. I know you weren't here, so I'm kind of going over that real quick, and then cleaning out the Safeway pond, so that the flow down there is just better.
They're pulling all those stumps along that drainage, right?
Yes, so that's that project. So, any questions? I know you weren't here. Okay. Pool pumps and valves, that's more for the RCE. This one has already been done, as I said. RCE, they are back ordered, as everybody else on the planet, and we are just waiting for those pieces to come in, and then they'll install everything, and then that pump room should be updated and ready to go. It wasn't on here, we just had a, I'll call it a pop-in or a surprise visit from a boiler inspector. Not sure how he ended up in our building. According to him, he drives around and looks for these things.
Whoa.
That's what I'm told. And did an inspection. The ironic part was the only two things he found, we had already found with our tolling mechanical. They were in to do a service, and they had already found the same two things, and they'd already ordered those pieces. So they kind of coincided. I'm not sure if the guy was called or what, but anyway, it didn't matter because we had already ordered, and the stuff
Do
is.
we have his name and information
I
to
do,
be able to
not with me,
validate
but I do. I can
that?
find,
Where he came from?
I could find out. I mean, he's certified oil inspector and all that. And,
How do we know?
well, I have his business card. I mean, again, I'm.
I can hand you those
Yes,
business
that's
cards
true.
right now.
So, anyway, what he found
That's what
matched
I'm
with
saying.
what Tolan found. So
Right.
it wasn't a big deal in my eyes, but I will pass that information on.
I only say that because I've been contacted, and I think your office was contacted today. There's been several like salesmen that have been calling and emailing. I don't know if they're doing it to every board member or if it's just been to me, but they called the office today. Kim had sent me an email today saying, hey, there's some guy calling about a copper and lead.
So that's been going on for.
And I was
since
like,
I've been
yeah,
on the board.
whatever, but the guy repeatedly calls me. And there's also some other people saying, hey, we're inspectors for this, we wanna help your district out, and I'm like,
okay.
yeah, no, we have inspectors, thank you.
To me, it wasn't a big deal. It was whatever he wrote up was matched with what Tolan Mechanical wrote up. So, but I'll double check it's all that. Renovation downstairs, walls are gone, drywall's up, mudding's been done, painting is complete as far as their area. We need to finalize a couple of areas on our own. Flooring's been ordered. supposed to be in and installed next week, and it is back ordered also. So I know these aren't things that we all love to hear, but I think it's just the way it is right now, as well as the transition from the weight room up into the cardio room. That little ramp that we ordered is also on its way. So in the meantime, they are, the company that we lease from is trying to come up with a new design for us. So they're working on a few different designs to maximize that space down there, be able to get as many new machines as we can in that new open area. So kind of looking forward to that. And then lastly for me, pickleball courts, final coat was put on. I think I sent you colored pictures of those too.
Yeah, black and white.
What's that?
They're black and white.
Okay, well, in real life they're not, and they look gorgeous. And we've gotten a lot of really nice compliments about
I
that.
seen them in a text, it looks great. I
Yeah,
drove by
They
over
came
there.
out really, really nice, and
I've seen
we
them.
have
I've seen them.
a couple events coming up at the pickleball courts, I think people will be
My
appreciative.
copies are all black and white.
Lastly, I just kind of want to throw out, this room will be rented by El Paso County Elections at the end of June. So the board meeting, I'm assuming, may have to go to RCE or.
Yeah, I think we'll do it at RCE.
We go to Chuck E. Cheese.
That's the
Restaurant
within the
sounds
district.
fantastic.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to throw that out there. Questions for me?
I do have a question for you.
Yep.
Our cameras at RCE in this building, do they cover the front doors?
Actually,
Especially at RCE with the classes. I know we closed this building. In light of what's going on nationally right now, I want to make sure that we have a mechanism in place to where we can lock out those doors
So
if need be.
I'll kind of, the gym, obviously it's a buzzing system, so you can't get in there unless you're buzzed in. RCE, the reason we built that new front desk with the locked door, the door that locks, was for these types of crazy.
Now, do they have the
Reasons.
capability of locking both of those doors like a man in trap?
They have the ability to lock the one that gets into the hallway and leads to the rest of the building. We have the ability to lock so that the offices are safe. That's our ability. Cameras we have all over the place, as you know.
Okay.
You've been in my office, you've seen the video system. We have the ability to see what's going on in the gym via the computer. And then you actually reminded me, because this just came through, I wanted to redo the camera system here. So the bid on that is basically $9,000 to get new cameras and a new system where I can see it at my desk at RCE and see what's going on here. Right now, we don't have that capability. The monitor and everything are here. So I'd like to, and I just got this, so I haven't talked to Carter at all about this, try to find that as we're doing this renovation, and in light of crazy
I
stuff.
guess there's several things going on right now between the mass shootings, the reports coming in that the countries are trying to send assassins through the southern border, that they're trying to sabotage infrastructure within the U.S.
Oh, I get it.
Different things. I just want to make sure that, and we talked about this once before about the wastewater treatment facility and things, about making sure that we had some type of security posture, because we deal in human resources mainly here, and the amount of people that are in our buildings at any one time, to be able to have the ability to lock out the building.
You know, to piggyback on what you're saying, up here is usually locked unless we're having, it's usually mornings, it's unlocked in the sense that we have aerobics classes here. We have some mommy and me music classes next door, things like that. Saturdays it's open, as well as painting or pottery or whatever, or cooking classes. So to answer your question, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I'm open to suggestions.
I mean, I would say we probably, at this point, I mean, I hate to even talk about it, but I would almost say at this point in our society, culture right now, it's something that we're gonna have to take a look at and have some kind of mechanism, evacuation plan for RCE,
We do have all
some kind of training in place, lockout mechanisms to where, you know, if they look at the camera outside and somebody's walking towards the building with an AR, they can hit the button and lock out the doors. Mechanisms like that, especially based off of last week's events, can save lives. And one, it can buy time. Because the one thing we have to think about out here is the time it's gonna take, because the help coming is gonna be an off-duty CSPD, state patrol, or a deputy, because the on-duty patrols just are few and far between.
It's something I thought about a long time ago when we had a gentleman that was a little bit crazy, I guess, in the facility.
Hence the bulletproof glass at the main office.
And that's why we got all that. And I thought about then, and I guess I dropped the ball about getting the sheriff's department in. I know we had contacted them back then about doing an all-staff emergency action plan / training at that point. And things simmer down and time goes by, but it was a good reminder to
It's something we
reach
can,
out and do that again.
Yeah,
we can reach out to Meridian or something and see if they can do a joint,
Yeah.
just a walkthrough, even getting one of their crime prevention officers out to do a CPTED,
Okay.
to look for our vulnerabilities, not only at RCE, but also here, wastewater, water systems. They'll come out and check and see what we need for lighting and all that stuff around the district. We've been slowly upgrading everything.
Yep.
We've been upgrading the lighting, we've been upgrading the gates, and we've been upgrading the infrastructure and things. But now it's just gonna come down to like those small little intricacies that are gonna buy us time if something bad should happen. So, just a thought, I wanted to
No,
throw
no,
that
no,
in there. I don't wanna beat it up.
Yep.
It's just one of those that I was like, you know, I definitely, doing what I do, can walk around and say, hey, we can do better than that. We can do better than that to make sure that we provide the best and safest environment for our folks that we can.
You got it.
Nothing's 100%, so we only do what we can do.
No, I get it, but I'll get on it tomorrow.
As far as the cameras go, I think, I'll line that with Carter and figure out where we're at as far as budget goes. I don't think the ask is huge, because that's something that's gonna need to be done here.
Yeah.
And so if it's within budget, I don't
We
think
can
that-
submit it to the CSD safety grant program as well, so I believe we have about $4,000 left in there, so that would cover about 50% of that cost is what they would normally cover anyways.
Right.
So out of pocket for the district would roughly be $5,000.
I think that would be worth the upgrade to get it done. They'll put you on the same system with both camera systems at both locations, right? And then during other times, 'cause I mean, this facility is RFID key for overnights, right?
Yes.
So doors are locked unless you've got a key to access. Okay. Yeah, the bigger thing is just during the class times, you have to open it up for certain classes. Is anybody watching or monitoring the doors during that time?
Sure, no.
Okay. Something to think about.
But the instructors have access, right? I mean, they have a key
They
to
all
get
have
in.
their own key to get in.
So there's nothing saying that they couldn't let the people in and lock the door?
Individually and not bar open the door.
Yeah.
I could tell them to do that. That would be an easy
Yeah, it's an
change,
easy fix. And then, you know, they can get texted or if somebody's coming late to class or whatever, you know, to be let in,
It's an
so.
easy,
That'd be an easy fix to lock the doors.
Yep.
Just-
And I mean, we're not saying make it a prison.
No, I get it, but we also.
Just, I
wanna-
think we can put some measures in
safe.
place to make things safer and be able to react better if something did go wrong.
Well, these are push lock doors anyway, right? To get out, you just push the bar.
Yep.
So if they're locked, you're just preventing somebody from coming in, not preventing somebody from going out.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think an easy fix.
Cool.
Just food for thought.
No, absolutely. We're not far off.
I know for next year's budget, I know that Carter has already pulled, some estimates for gates, like locking gates, like you need a fob, like at main office, for example, those gates you just open and shut. And so it allows the whole backside to be vulnerable because you're not watching the backside, but anybody could drive through those gates.
Yeah.
So I know he's pulled estimates for that, so maybe we should move that up on the, capital expenditure improvement list.
Stacy, that was actually something I wanted to talk about in executive session today.
Okay.
Perfect.
So are you done?
I'm done, short
What?
and sweet and to the point.
Wow.
All right.
Things are pretty good, you can't complain too much, so.
Your district looks great. Everything you guys are doing is fantastic.
I was out there watching them cruise around the motor today. So.
Hey.
They love those, they're any excuse to get on right now.
Did you want to talk about the turf?
Thought we were-
It's an executive session.
We were gonna talk about an
Is that
executive
gonna be a
session.
financial and
Yeah.
negotiating piece?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else for me?
You're doing great, Jed.
All right, thank you.
I do. When's it open downstairs? That's all I need to know.
I wish I could give you a definitive answer,
Yeah.
you know,
But with
right now-
with the pool open, people will still be able to go in and out, shower and stuff like that, right?
Well, we're toying with that idea, so that's an interesting conversation because it's a construction zone.
Yeah.
So we don't really want people in and out taking showers, although,
I wouldn't open up the pool then.
which
I'd
is
wait.
kind of what we're toying with, and we're hoping they kind of coincide pretty close with each other, but
Yeah.
we're at the mercy of all these companies right now. So, you bring up a good point. One food for thought is you open it up, people don't have to shower, but they still need a bathroom, but then how do you work that? Because it is a construction zone, you don't want somebody to accidentally get injured downstairs. The other thought is get a couple porta potties short-term. Another thought is just don't open either of them until, well, don't open that until the downstairs is actually done.
What's the
So-
time frame?
I
Downstairs?
wish I could really answer the question. So like I said earlier, the rubber, that's what we're waiting for right now, is the rubber flooring. Once the rubber flooring gets installed, we can then put the weight equipment back where we want, right? And any new pieces that we order. And then we're done. However, we don't know when that rubber flooring, the last I heard was probably, and that's the answer, probably the first week of June. It was supposed to be in already, and it's not. So, I don't think we're different than the rest of the world, which is the unfortunate part. I mean, I wish I could say, hey, they gave me an install date already, but they haven't. Hypothetically, if it's the first week of June, then that is a question that, you know, Stephanie, Craig, and I have been kind of toying with. What do we do? Because this is going to be ready, whether it's midweek or late week next week. He brings up a good point.
Yeah, we're supposed to be in the 80s this weekend, so a lot of kids want to probably get out of the pool, especially if it's heated.
Luckily, we still have a pool that they can use. It's not the same, but
Right.
we still all, just like the weight room, right? Luckily, we have a second one that people can use right now, and we're opening up early, as Troy knows, to accommodate as many people as possible. I'm not sure if there's a perfect answer. If you guys have one, let me know. We've been throwing it around for about a week now, knowing that this may be ready and downstairs is not. You know,
What's the cure time on the concrete, because they're gonna pour that tomorrow?
you know, pour it tomorrow, we can get on it Tuesday. I just don't know if we wanna do that.
So, I mean, what's going on downstairs right now? Nothing? They're
So
done
right
other than
now,
the
I mean,
floor?
they're literally downstairs cleaning right now. And then it's a waiting game, but you have a floor that's, and these guys were, and you guys are more than welcome to go down there later. It's not even, right, you got patchwork going on. Like I said, it's not ideal, it's not the worst spot in the world either. You could post a million signs saying watch your step and
I just say let us
construction
know.
zone and.
Yeah, to open that up downstairs, I don't think would be a good idea, you know, especially in a construction zone, it's too much liability. The other side is that I think probably the best thing to do is just notify the board when you get an install date.
Yep.
You know, and figure out a timeline. See if we can get an approximate where they can guesstimate where they're expecting materials in, you know, and then.
The
we
guess
can
right
figure
now
out-
is the first week of June.
Okay,
That's the
that's
guess.
the saying their guess is? Okay.
So,
Let's
Yeah.
just be ready when we get everything situated and have a hard open date downstairs,
The
to
last
get it out on
thing
blast.
that is you have these bathroom hooks here, so they wouldn't have the ability to shower before or after, but you still have bathrooms where they can come up. And again, I don't know if any of these are a perfect answer.
Well, can you close off the access downstairs
Yes.
basement?
Yes.
Okay. So if you can lock that off and actually make it accessible to bathrooms up
Yeah.
here, there's no reason to rent porta potties, we may be able to do that.
Right.
But there's no showers upstairs, right, which is the other problem, so, you know, we'll just have to clarify. You know, as long as they can use the restroom, I think it'll be all right. I mean, you know, I don't
Something
know.
to think about.
Yeah, I mean, it's just liability access in the basement as far as getting in there.
Yeah.
So, I think most folks go home and shower if they had to. So, my kids wouldn't, they were too young at that time. They just got out of the pool and run around like crazy.
I'm gonna leave it to you. Just,
Like I said, they're not.
do what's, doesn't put liability on us or the patron
Yeah.
and customer, and what's safe for both parties. And
That's why our last email was a tentative start date on the 2nd, but we'll let it bring it up, so. We're still chewing on all of it. I know I didn't really answer your question, but I semi-answered your question, so.
It's okay, so two more weeks.
Yeah,
I have to remember to bring my wallet with me.
so, I'll let you guys know or pick you guys ready, so.
all right, item 10, water report.
Alrighty. For the salesperson, if you want to reply, because I already dealt with this person already, tell them our lead and coppers are okay. Our state monitoring is no longer 6 months. Every 6 months we pull 20 samples, is now back to the 3-year rotation. Our leads are below detectable limits, and what it is meant is whatever occurrences are inside a home that may contain lead. Some brasses contains lead, the water can leach that out. We just don't have lead components in our beam distribution system. Our coppers are the same way. There's numbers, but they're below the MCLs, that's maximum contaminant levels. So we're good.
I'll
If
give
you
you
run
your
across
phone
that.
number. That's okay, I'll give you your phone number.
I'd be happy to talk to them. Okay, so operations for since April till today. We have a well that failed out there in Guthrie's age 1, it failed on its 28. They pulled it out of service. We already have the contract, it's a 50-50 split between Meridian and us to split the costs for that well. They're gonna lower it down to the bottom, about the 1,400 foot level, at least about 50 foot left in that well there for sumping. And that's just iron and whatever comes out of the well lines. It's just you have to have a sump in there for that to settle out. So Applied Ingenuity is doing that work, and they're gonna be putting that well back down on the 27th of June. The 9th, since we had all these borings, companies coming through, have been very fortunate. They didn't hit a main, but they have taken out a service line at the bus barn over there with D49. And since it was not in use, it's just an abandoned line for whatever they decide to do over that lot there, if they wanted to redo that section of the building and remove the rest of those modulars. But anyway, that line's been repaired since then and is back in service. We're supposed to have our sanitary survey conducted by the CDPHE, and the state inspector had got COVID, so it was postponed till this week, or earlier this week. And I'll fill you on results on that next month's board meeting. We also had our first year inspection on our new wastewater tank. It is the 2-year, there's a 2-year warranty, so we did the first year warranty. That's on us to go and have a rove in there to inspect. The tank integrity inside the concrete structure is very sound. There was no found visible cracks. However, there was some settling. And that only that settling was detected by where the standpipe comes up to the floor, where the tank is being filled and emptied at the same time. So it's about a settling of 1 inch. I'm waiting to see those photos and a video so I can get a better assessment of that. I was told it's not really of a concern. It is usually normal for constructors like that to settle out, especially the weight, and the weight of water that it holds. Also, we put our filter plant 3 is now online because we're trying to beat the peaks of the irrigation season, which had started earlier. Usually we wait toward the end, like usually this week or beginning of June. So we are about 3 weeks ahead of schedule of that. Water quality in the upper zone, that's anybody that lives up in the Island, Levin, all the way up to the transfer station tank right along Woodman Hills. Going to see a little bit of change in the water quality, but it's just the hardness. It's not as hard as the water we get from the Tamlin pump station, but it will be sort of noticeable because most of the waters up in here are usually soft from the deep rock wells.
Can we get some of that moved to my house?
I'm sorry, if you have a well that's sitting there, it's just not making it there. I can't control the flow and the distribution unless I turn a lot of people off. Anyway, moving on. The district staff has installed 7 new meters for Woodman Hills and 8 for Falcon Highlands for their meter switch out. All plants at this time are working properly and preventive maintenance was done during this time. Bent grass in Falcon Marketplace is still in development processes. Finally, in the Falcon Marketplace, Superstar Car Wash is broken ground. And shortly thereafter, Dutch Brothers will break ground next week. We had our regularly back tea samples that were collected. They all came in good, and there was no groundwater calls that were reported at this time. Lastly, the district-wide meter upgrade, there's a delay. I hate to say that the same old story, we're hearing supply issues. We've been promised now almost 4 months past our initial deadline for these meters to be rolled out to start our program. Tomorrow, I will know for certain if I will have a shipment of what is the first allotment of meters that will be for the residential homes. I did get the commercial ones in piecemeal. We can start those at any time, which we will. As far as the main part of the customers that for the homes, for the remaining 3,000 taps, we are now postponed this till June 1st, pending of the shipment that comes in and then pass their inspection process. I wanted to make sure that it's known to the staff in the office that their work is very much appreciated and that they are very willing to, at a moment's notice, to make that change when we come up with a decision, when we have to reschedule folks. And we also want to let the folks know to appreciate that, hey, please understand that this is not just us, but it's everybody else with anything that has to do with supply issues, that we thank you for your patience and reschedule, and hopefully things will move along a lot smoother than what they are. And that's my report. Any questions?
Good job, JD.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Here we go.
All right, item 11, water report, or wastewater report.
Alrighty. Still working on 5-star automation for a skate upgrade. They were just here yesterday. For the first time in 2 years, we finally got the influent meter working on our SCADA. But it's good because now we can put several series of pumps in automatic instead of running by hand. So we're making improvements. So no collections crew. Apparently nobody wants the job anymore, so we're still struggling trying to start posting the Ranchland News. The Argus Leader goes through Monster. We're gonna start going through that. So Indeed is kind of panned out, so I can show you some real duly qualified people.
Huge amount of people with the same pricing and jobs in that market right now, and the competition's insane.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen employers actually hiring people and they work for 2 days and leave. And they're continuing looking for the next job, so it's gonna be difficult.
Well, we'll get there. So UE compression,
I don't know what the final decision is, but we are getting a new 125 horse motor for the blower. Problem is, it's coming from Germany, so I'm kind of gonna try and give you a timeline. The April DMR is complete. Comeback supply issues, the cooling fans for the VFD on blower 2 failed, and that failed a month and a half ago. 5-star was able to get them, had them on the shelf for all of 6 days, and we had to put them in, so. They just ordered new ones, and those are 12 to 14 weeks out. So, right now I told them just go ahead and just buy enough to replace everything in case every freaking fan went on the VFDs, just so we have them. It's just taking so long to get stuff, so. Hopefully we'll be sitting good on that. We did almost all our DMR QA testing. I had to reorder one of the sets of kits, because when they first came in, thank you FedEx, I came in on Monday morning and couldn't get the gate to open at the plant, a bunch of tumbleweeds, and there was a box, so apparently on Saturday he just threw it over the fence, but it was cold out and the sample froze, so we just ran the last test today. So Troy, you weren't here, but another D.R. Horton development come in, gave a presentation last time for a rental community over in Eastonville and Judge York. They want a commitment letter. We simply just gave them a will serve. The commitment letter will be dependent on if they get approval from the county for rezoning. If you had mentioned it's got to go through public approval. They got a long road ahead of them, so it gets them going, but no final commitment from us. Still going over plans for Bentgrass, Falcon Marketplace. Good news, the VACCON is officially sold. It's out of the shop. Money's in the bank, so. It's supposed to be in time for JD to get his meters, so.
We got one table.
Yeah.
We got our 4-inch diesel pump has been repaired, it's back in service if needed. Like JD said, we had our sanitary surveys this week. Mine actually went pretty well. Just a couple little things is our laboratory changed how they did some of the reporting, and I misunderstood what their results were. So I've been entering some data wrong in the DMR. Not the end of the world, just going forward, you guys should show me what the state needs to see. So I think we're pretty good on that. The generator at the wastewater plant, or the fuel tank on it, was inspected by the state and passed. Manhole I mentioned last time over at Falcon Marketplace, it was never tied in properly. HEI Civil came through, they made that tie-in, and they cleaned, TV'd all the lines in there, so everything in Falcon Marketplace is good to go.
Question for you on 5-star, what's the projection of getting the next deal still on schedule for this year? Be completed?
I hope so. So again, supply issue stuff. The equipment that they wanted to use, again, the lead times on these things are horrendous. Unfortunately, we have a failing SCADA system, so right now it's kind of whatever.
And what they've done with SCADA already, are you able to actually come offline off the server that we're putting it down? Or we still gotta keep that guy alive?
Gotta keep them alive.
Yeah, we're way far off from being able to do that.
It's crazy. Okay.
All right,
Questions, comments?
good job over there.
Nice.
But everything's still running.
We're running good. We're in compliance. We're
All right. I wanted to circle back just a minute. Any word on your gators?
Yes, actually. I talked about that before, not good news. So they're supposed to be in June, now it's August, they're projecting. That was the last email.
don't have a chip for them or what?
I mean, I hate using it as an excuse, but this is
It's
what everybody hears. It's, I mean, you watch the news, you,
Well, I mean, I completely understand.
it's frustrating for all of us, and I'm sure you guys, and I'm sure the community also.
Do they have a final check already?
No,
I don't think so.
they won't get paid until we get delivery.
Well, then what you do is every day you send them a picture of a completed check. And just,
No worries, right?
yeah, we're waiting on you.
I'm not sure it's them, right?
Yeah. It's not.
You know,
we
we
get it.
can keep hitting them every day or every week or whatever we want. I just, you know.
No, you
my
could
hands are
probably,
tied.
I mean, volunteer to drive a truck and bring some stuff in from the coast,
Yeah.
but you can't afford the fuel or the depth to drive it here.
It's
so.
just a perfect
it's,
storm of nonsense going on. And, you know, I forgot to mention, I probably should, as far as staffing, we're low on lifeguards. We cannot find them. We have it publicized, and we sent 4 for lifeguarding tests this past weekend, 2 failed. And that was a good scenario. And we just, so I wanna be upfront and be honest with you, like, staffing all 3 pools is going to be difficult this summer. There will be days where we just cannot find people, and so I know you don't wanna hear that, but, I'm now slowly transitioning into pool attendants, which we talked about a long time ago when we had a COVID incident. Legally, we can have them. So I'm trying to hire people, and we just got 5 certified today, CPR, first aid, AED trained. And we can use them as a pool attendant with a lifeguard. Does that make sense? So if we have 2 on deck here, one may be a pool attendant, one be a lifeguard.
Okay.
And really, the difference is the pool attendant can't get in the water to do any rescues.
I'll make a suggestion.
Yes.
See if we reach out to YMCA.
They're in a way worse spot than I.
I understand that, but what if you could trade off between the 2 sets of employees where the employees, because staffing full-time here would be lovely, but you can always do it based on hours and hours given.
Yeah.
So if you could work out something between the 2 systems, between YMCA employees and ours,
Yeah.
to where they can get 20 hours over there and get 20 hours over here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, oh,
So they're
absolutely.
pre-qualified, you've got pre-qualified employees here, they want additional hours for working, they can go over there and do the same thing, and then it doesn't impact our budget.
Yeah.
So just a thought, something
No,
like that.
Doesn't hurt to make a
Check the
phone call.
diving school, you know, the funny thing about Colorado is that you have more registered divers in Colorado than Florida. So, which is weird, right?
I know I did reach out to Red Cross. The other piece to the problem is they don't offer a lot of classes anymore.
YMCA doesn't?
Red Cross.
Oh, okay, gotcha,
And again, I'm assuming it's staffing reasons.
yeah.
So our hands are tied a little bit. We still have it posted. I'll keep you updated as things go along. Well, right now, we're okay. But what I'm worried about is, hey, I'm on vacation. I have this, I have that. And all of a sudden, you run into a
Sure.
weekend where you just don't have the lifeguards to man all your stuff.
What you can horse trade locally, look at Meridian,
Yeah.
you know?
So one thing Alfred was trying to talk about earlier today is, you know, the people you do have that you look at, the numbers they throw at you are astronomical, and I, for one, am not gonna let someone hold me hostage to a pay scale that is unrealistic. It's, back with no experience and wants the freaking money of a supervisor, it ain't gonna happen. So I'll keep looking before I hire that person, so. It's just a weird time we're in right now, where either you don't wanna work or they wanna work and they wanna make big bucks.
You know, I've been out in town the last 2 days and just driving around looking at now hiring, and it's because, you know, they're offering $18 an hour to start at a fast food place, and not even a McDonald's, you know, like a Chick-fil-A and stuff like that, and people don't wanna take that, they'd rather sit, it's not enough money for them to work there.
Anyone can slap meat into a sandwich, it's not.
I saw, I think Chick-fil-A, they're doing.
Those are
delivery
sandwich
times
artists,
24
okay,
hours.
get it right.
That's someone, that's a.
Hey,
Sandwich
I had a
artists.
guy apply that, yeah, he was a Subway sandwich
Intertwined
artist.
in all that is the job hopping.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, so you know, I know we've all run into this, where they're here for, I think you just said it, you're here for a couple days, but then that looks more enticing, that $18, so they go and they work at that Chick-fil-A, and a month later, I mean, I've had employees quit, go work for Amazon, and 2 months later, she came back and, hey, can I get my job? No.
Hey,
But-
my kid was like, hey, can I work at the rec center? I said, no, because I'm on
Right,
the
and then we
board.
have other issues,
I
right?
said, I'm
So-
on the board, you can't work at the rec center. I said, he's like, well, they don't pay enough anyway, they only pay 15. He's like, I can go work at Walmart for 16.
Well, that is a problem, right? And I don't know how to solve all that.
Well, we're
But
trying to
that's
figure out,
intertwined in all this, right?
yeah, there's a lot to figure out as far as wage gaps are concerned, what's going on with the industry, so, and that's a really, really big puzzle, you know, Stacy.
Well, you know, going back to your point, it's common to this industry, so I called CRWA today to renew the postings I had on their website.
Mhm.
And they were telling me they're posting there since January, February, that every 40 days, they keep getting renewed, calling in, because they're not getting applicants for them, so.
Yeah.
Everyone knew in this industry it was coming because of the overall age of the people, but COVID just killed it.
Yeah. Well, strategically, we'll have to figure out a different strategy to go through, as far as hiring goes. I'll come out and I'll talk, and we'll see. We can come up
What
with
are you
something.
doing next year?
You just gotta make sure you pay me enough.
He's another one of those.
Yeah. You never
It's
know.
not enough.
Yeah.
But the difference is that I'm skilled.
I know we're not.
I'll
alone
determine
in all
that.
this.
No, I mean, Meridian has the same
Like I
problem
said, I
right
talked to
now.
Ryan weekly, and there's nothing.
The
different.
YMCA's having problems, the
Big time
local
problems.
gyms are having huge
Yeah.
problems hiring staff. It's just people do not wanna work. And I don't know how they're affording all these boats and houses and the housing market and stuff without good jobs.
Yeah, that's another.
I don't get it. I mean, I can't fathom it.
Yeah.
Especially with you, because when I was growing up, I mean, if you're a kid, you were
Yeah, you
desperate. to
wanted
find
a job.
Do anything.
You wanted
It's
a job.
different, though.
Extra money in your pocket.
So here's one other thing. I never see these job postings on like Falcon Community Forum on
We have them
Facebook,
on our Facebook page. the
on
joint-
our Facebook page.
And the joint page between Woodman and Meridian, and we have them on our website.
Yeah, I've seen them pop up on
I was gonna
that.
say, we have them.
I saw you
On
email them out the
Facebook,
other day
yeah.
too. They're actually
If you have
posted
more
on
avenues you want me to hit, I mean,
ZipRecruiter.
but the Ranchland News is not gonna get us anything.
But we always have kids or parents posting on our Facebook pages. You know, my 16, 17, 18-year-old kids looking for a job.
And
Anybody have any
let me
recommendations?
also add, we do interview a lot of people
Try to post it on Nextdoor.
next door.
Yep. Do it Nextdoor local. That's where a lot of those kids are actually looking for jobs right now in the community, in this Falcon area too, so, they're in the community.
You know, we've had kids where we've brought them in, we interviewed them, everything seemed actually fantastic.
And then they don't show
But I
up.
forgot, well, no, we've had that too, but I forgot to ask the question, can you swim?
Yeah.
I didn't think that was a question.
That's a
When
very
you're applying
important
for a
question.
lifeguard. But when you fill out an application for a lifeguard, I'm assuming you can. And then we sent them for the swim test and they all failed, and that's a
Some of
dead
them
end.
think that you're gonna teach them how to swim first.
I'm just telling you what we run into, it's.
Well, maybe we sign them up for free swimming classes.
You really have to
Tell me
sit
what's-
back right now.
Yeah.
You have to sit back right now.
It's crazy.
And the old adage that common sense is really not that common, it truly plays right now,
Yeah.
because it is just not. And you have to ask those type of
I
questions
know,
now.
that's my first question now. When's the last time you've been in the pool?
Yeah.
Can you swim? Which,
You know, people cut grass, you have to, you know not to stick your hand in there when the when the motor's on, right?
Part of the interview
They
should
don't cut
be
your hand
is
off.
putting them in a pool and actually have them do it in 15 laps.
maybe that's our,
Right.
the problem is, I
That's
think
required.
also intertwined in at least my little world with the lifeguard thing, I don't think they wanna sit through, so you have two choices, it's a 4-day course, 8 hours each day, or it's 20 hours online doing that piece of classroom work, and 2 days in the classroom / pool. And I don't think that this generation wants to do that.
Yeah.
We're even offering to pay for the certification now, and we're not getting as many applicants as we should, or good
Interesting.
enough applicants. And then you go back to the other saying of beggars can't be choosers, but it's a safety issue, so I'm not just gonna hire anybody. You know what I mean? It's
So what
just
about-
this juggling act right now.
How old do they have to be?
In the past, we've always said 16, and now we've lowered it to 15, again, to draw more
No.
people. We're trying different,
So let me ask you,
it's a crazy world.
you got pool instructors, right?
Pool instructors like
Yeah, for
that
teaching
teach
classes,
swim,
aerobics,
yes.
things like
Yeah.
that? Do any of them want additional hours for just doing, pool watching? They stand around and
We've
get a
tried that
tan,
avenue also.
right? Okay.
I,
Trying to
we've
find
re-
Bob.
no,
so-
and I'm
Right.
open to as many suggestions as you got. I know
Yeah.
we've talked about it, I know these guys and I I think it's a generational, there's a piece to
gap,
this, there's a generational gap here. And,
Well, I think your strategy, going to pool attendant and putting one lifeguard, and that gives you two hands on deck, and then you're not required to have the secondary as being a full lifeguard. But they can be there to assist,
Yeah.
you know, but they do have to know how to swim.
yes.
Recommendations, so make sure we ask
We've
them.
reached out to, so we have, we've had 3 or 4 swim teams total. I think we're down to 2 that are renting from us. I reach out to the coaches constantly. Do you have any older boys or girls that want? That's been a dead end. I mean, we've really tried to exhaust as many things as we can think of.
Yeah, that's surprising.
I really think it comes down to they don't want to sit in the class.
Yeah.
So there's not really a way around it except the pool attendant thing. But
Something to think about. Let's
Yep.
see if there's anything I can come up with.
No.
Anybody else, so, okay.
I'm gonna quit asking questions because it just spurred into a 20-minute
sorry,
discussion.
I know. My bad.
All right, let's move on to item 12. Items unfinished from previous meeting. And that's probably why I asked about the gator, because I was reading it.
We'll just write Gator, but yeah, we'll pretend you did that.
No, you already covered the vac truck, gator.
Are we using the new vac truck?
Yeah, we actually used it last week.
I just wanna
So
feel
again, we
good.
don't have a collector's crew, so you just got me and another guy that,
I wanna feel good about that purchase, so.
you will.
Okay.
In a year.
Yeah.
So the one nice thing on it is, so the old Turk had a 3/4 inch hose, this one has a 1 inch. And even though it's a lot bigger, can hold a lot more water, if we didn't have that recycler in there, the amount of water we go through would be phenomenal on that thing. So I think from water standpoint, that recycler is worth that extra 70 grand.
Good deal. Okay. Item 13.
All right, item 13, board follow-up on older items.
Did you follow up on 5-star already?
Yeah.
So we sat there, we followed up on, we're gonna talk to the other things. Good on that.
I think we're good there. All right, item 14, public comment regarding current board business not on the agenda. Anybody?
Where is everybody anymore? It's like last month, we had a guy here who actually was in the, I think 5 and 11, and had the,
Yeah. Is that the wrong meeting?
yeah, get the wrong
Yeah.
meeting.
So, I mean, realistically, I get a lot of emails between the meetings from people that, well, I'll have a question or maybe a complaint or, things from within the district, but generally.
Either you guys are doing a good job, people don't care anymore, because you know you have it all under control, as compared, I've been here 24 years.
Thank you.
I knew, the first 3 members of the board were actually residents, I got to know all 3 of them. Fourth was a developer, and I think one of his, employees was the 5th, back in '98. Okay, and then I was on the Park and Rec, then also covenants, that was a big thing. We were trying to protect back then until a judge turned it all over, upside down, so, yeah. But we always, before the virus, there was always people in here.
Yeah.
The 4th back then, was that Rusty Green?
Yeah.
So we've tried to make it a little easier for people to, we video them all.
Oh, yeah, sure.
We try to make it easier, more approachable.
It seems like nobody else has any comments and stuff, that's why they want to put up in public,
No, I answered all 3 gentlemen that messaged me this week, and I just sent you that 120 water guys info.
If you want, I can send it to you too.
Well, how do you think things are going in the district, judging by the last 2 meetings you've been in?
Personally, I think, well, first, my wife was thinking about coming over, but then she's talking about how it seems like there's stuff dying as compared to Meridian Ranch. Looked like they put a hell of a lot more money into Londonderry, Stapleton, and stuff like that than we have. But I think Rusty Green didn't have that plan to do that. He wasn't planning on that to put a whole bunch of trees, you know, other than the 3 cottonwoods right there, the big ones, you know, those are doing great. You know, a couple others that were in here, you watched some conifers over the years, you know, come and go, you know, stuff like that, and I don't know, other than you know, like some of these properties anymore, you know, like I said, after that judge took out the covenants, you know, people doing whatever they want, you know. So my stuff, if I have anything that's hidden, you know, my property, I've got an acre. So some of these people with a 1/4 acre, you know, they're putting all kinds of stuff in there, you know, but, so I think, I don't know, is it stricter in, Meridian Ranch
Yeah.
with their?
So when you see like Londonderry and things like that in Meridian Ranch is still being developed.
Yeah.
So they still have developer money
Right,
paying for.
and
a
they
lot
can
of the
still
main
control the covenants and stuff like that,
Yes.
yeah. And so some resident just can't, but, you know, I know according to the covenants too, if I need to, I can always sue
road. You
somebody
can,
myself, yeah, I can still have it, yeah, a lot of people don't even know that.
and the covenants would stand, and that's generally how I reply to those emails from people.
Yeah.
Is,
So,
Actually,
and people do call code enforcement on some of the folks. I know
right,
that
right.
houses for sale there off of Fort Smith and I think it's Woodman now, that one that they're running that business out of, so that had been complained on a few times.
We have a house down here, the south, that would be the northwest corner of Shoulders and Salinas. I live on Salinas, right? This guy has never touched anything in the yard, and there's more willows growing in there. He's got the north side of Salinas has the big ditch to control the water coming from everything down here now. So stuff is growing there. County hasn't come back, you know, there's a couple more, I don't know, maybe elms starting to grow on the county side of the ditch, things like that, you know. So yeah, you'll find there's always been somebody around here.
Probably check with the county on
They
that.
don't just don't do anything with their properties.
If you're gonna sue a neighbor, make sure you get code compliance with El Paso County
Oh,
Code.
yeah.
Code
No,
enforcement
I don't plan to
first.
do that, but I'm worried that, you know, if it gets so dry, his yard, some stupid idiot might come down the street, you know, his yard goes up, what's he gonna do now?
Right.
Yeah. It's his fault, because he never cleaned his yard. So,
It's true.
but,
Well, other than that, how are things going?
I think it's pretty good. The facilities, you know, since for the last 4 weeks now, right, we've been doing that, using the facility over there. I go there 5 days a week anyway. My wife's in there 4 to 5 days a week, you know, and stuff like that. So that's pretty neat, you know, but, what kind of lights are in the ceiling of the basketball court? Are they LEDs or?
Oh, yeah, everything's LED.
LED? Okay. Well, it just looks like they're so bright, you know, like, we're paying probably for energy that we're not using, you know, stuff like that, so. But
Not with
yeah,
LEDs.
Yeah, you have to leave it on anyway, so, you know.
Yeah, we're trying to do everything we can as far as energy goes, especially with saving water and so forth.
So, sure, so.
Great. Well, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Kind of curious to know, so.
So you guys.
We kind of figured that if
Roll over now.
we say anything, so we assume.
We're going to, if there's no other public comment, I'm gonna motion we enter executive session.
Second.
Okay, and those will be for, determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations under CRS 246402-4E. These are namely matters related to Grandview Metropolitan District, Paintbrush Metropolitan District, and negotiations to include equipment purchases for wastewater and park and rec enterprises. And I have a motion and a second.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
We'll enter executive session.
Leave it all to you guys.
Thank you, sir.
9:03.
All right, next item will be other business. Does anybody have any other business to discuss?
Nope.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion we adjourn.
A
I'll
second.
second.
Okay, I got a second and a third on that one. All right, without any further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.